For 10 long years, we've waited, but should you summon for Super Baby 1? How's it, everybody? Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today. We are answering that age-old question. Should you summon for the upcoming Dokkan Fest STR Super Baby 1? As always, in order to answer that question, we're going to take a look at three major things. Number one, we're going to take a look at the unit itself. Does the unit do well enough to justify a summon with your hard-earned Dragon Stones? And then next, we'll take a look at the banner. Obviously, these units do not exist by themselves, so will the banner be good enough to justify a summon out of your stones? And then finally, we will take a look at what lies ahead. If you decide to summon for Dokkan Fest, baby, what are you giving up in the near future? So let's kick things off by starting with the unit itself. What can we expect from this baby? Honestly, he's pretty good, right? He is a corroded body and mind Battle of Fate, HP 200%. Attack and defense 170% with an additional 50% for terrifying conquerors and GT bosses. This basically means, right, you're going to be running probably his secondary category more often than his first, because I mean, we know corroded body and mind. That doesn't mean it's bad, right? It's still a pretty decent leader skill. Battle of Fate is an incredible category. Looking at his basic effects, he's got key 2, attack defense 250%, chance of evading enemies attacks 70%, and guards all attacks. He also gives corroded body and mind allies attack 50%. When attacking with 12 or more key, he has attack and defense 250% and a chance of evading enemies attacks 10%. So essentially 80% dodge with guard. And then starting from the 5th turn, from his entry turn, or when there are 3 or more corroded body and mind or GT bosses allies, he can transform into the Super Baby 2. While in base form, his super attack effect isn't anything too crazy. It's just a simple attack and defense raise for 1 turn. Now, when things get interesting is when we, of course, transform into Super Baby 2, because now he has key 3, attack and defense 250%, great chance of evading any attacks, guards all attacks, and gives corroded body and mind allies attack 60%. As well, he randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to STR. When attacking with 12 or more key, he has an additional 250% attack defense with an additional 20% chance to evade, so 90% chance to evade. He also, when all allies are extreme, he has a scouter, which is incredibly useful, and launches an additional super attack. Now, we'll come back to that because that's actually very important. When all allies attacked in the same turn are corroded body and mind, he has an additional crit and damage reduction rate 30%. Now, with 90% dodge, we're not really concerned for the damage reduction, but the crit is definitely very helpful. With 3 or more key spheres obtained or a superclass enemy, when obtaining a key sphere, he gets an additional 120% attack and chance for a critical hit 30%. With 5 or more key spheres obtained, or if there's an Earthbred Fighters category enemy, he also gets an additional attack 120% and chance for a critical hit 30%. So really helpful on that. So you really got to pay attention to what fights you're bringing him into, right? If you're going against extreme class like the Broly fight, he's probably not going to be doing too well. I mean, he'll still be okay, although Broly does cancel dodge at the end, so then you'll kind of have some issues, but I mean, just be aware of who you're bringing him into. Now, he does have an active skill that can transform into a giant ape, and when he does go giant ape form, it's your pretty standard giant ape stuff. Attack defense, attack 300%, receives an additional key 1 per key sphere obtained, and guaranteed crit. Now, what's interesting is while in the giant ape, he does have an active skill, and it can be activated as soon as you enter the attacking turn, right? Obviously, that's how giant ape works. Raises attacks by 1700% temporarily and causes ultimate damage to the enemy. So now something to be aware of is Baby, while in Super Baby 2, is now a stacker. He is infinitely raising attack and defense. So but one thing to be aware is those stacks don't carry over to the giant ape, so that's why they gave him like a 1700% increase for that. So just something to be aware of, that the stacks don't carry over. And one thing I'm currently unsure of is whether or not he can utilize the active skill 3 times or if it's just once. Hopefully we'll be able to confirm that tomorrow. Now, with that in mind, all in all, as a unit, he is actually incredibly good. He is probably the final piece to the GT boss's puzzle, and a pretty decent altogether. His leader skill does leave a little bit to be desired. Like this is his full 220%, which leaves some desired. But he's still gonna have some. He's still got some decent usage on his team, right? That you can use. Hopefully in due time the team gets better, especially the corroded body and mind side, since he does want that, and his banner unit wants corroded body and mind as well. So I imagine we'll be seeing some buffs to that category throughout the celebration. So all in all, that's 1 in the category for a unit. For a Dokkan Fest TUR, he's probably one of the better ones we've gotten this year. So very good there. So moving on, the next question is, what about the banner? Of course, this guy does not exist by himself, so what can we expect from his banner? So with his banner, I'm imagining something like this. This is pretty standard when we look at other types of Dokkan Fests, right? We compare him to the Tao banner, 10 featured units with pity, right? Vegeta's banners last year, same thing, right? And this was the October Dokkan Fest, so it's probably going to be pretty similar to this setup here. But we are expecting 10 featured units. We should expect the return of Kid Goku on this banner. And these two, I predict, will likely be the likely candidates for an easy A during this celebration. At the very least, LR17 for sure, because there is some missing data for an LR easy A. So I would imagine there's probably, him for sure, but I could imagine they could drop these 2 easy A's as well as a super easy A for AGL 17 and for Majin Vegeta. Majin Vegeta would fulfill the corroded body and mind condition, which makes me think he's more likely, because obviously this celebration is already shaping up to look like corroded body and mind as opposed to a Battle of Fates, right? Just considering his banner unit is more corroded body and mind, right? And they both want those allies. So I'm guessing that's the theme of this celebration. So with that, I think Majin Vegeta is very likely. The rest of this banner is kind of going based on previous returns, specifically looking at the Vegeta banner, right? Looking at who the returns were, the December TURs, the June TURs, and previous fitting categories, and this is kind of what I came up with. This seems like the most likely, as a lot of these characters are also on his leader skill, which would really help him out. God Goku being on Battle of Fate, Majin Vegeta here would be on both of his leader skill, not both of his leader skills, but his corroded body and mind. Same with these guys here, corroded body and mind. The only one who would not be on here is Buhan, and I did have a hard time placing the previous, like, unless they decide to rerun a bunch of characters, right? These two could possibly be a like 2022 2023 units, which is possible, but I'm assuming they are likely because they fit in the category of the December TUR and the June TUR from 2 years ago. So that's kind of why I'm thinking it's that. However, just be aware that Rose and Buhan did both show back up on Tao's banner, so it's possible that they might not be there again. For sure, Kid Goku will be here. So all in all, the banner's probably not that great, aside from the return of Kid Goku. So even if all of these guys are here, even if Majin Vegeta is the one to get an easy A, it's still going to be a pretty rough banner, not going to lie. So honestly, it's probably a skip for the banner. If you have the coins, coin Kid Goku. Otherwise, there isn't really any big incentive to summon other than Baby and Kid Goku. The rest of the banner is going to be kind of rough. I mean, Janemba's got some use for sure, but the rest of these guys are really tough to use right now. So that's probably a no for the banner. All right, so we've got 1 for the unit and none for the banner. So that leaves the question of what lies ahead? Well, following this banner, the next thing we can expect is the November TUR, right? Which last year this was Lord Slug, and then leading into whatever the replacement for Dragon Ball Heroes is. It might just end up being a regular monthly celebration, but we do know, especially with Baby here, right? This is incredibly important. If we go to the Corroded Body Mind category here, I think I had it up somewhere here. Oh, did I get rid of it? I think I did. Okay, hold on a second. Right, so if we just go, so there's going to be somebody here who's also on the category. Rose. Yeah, Rose is on the category. There we go. So we'll just pull up Corroded Body and Mind real quick. Yeah, so if we pull up Corroded Body and Mind here, right, there's actually a couple of heroes units that are on the category, such as, right, her, the Supreme Kai of Time Possessed, Fizz, Super Saiyan 3 Rose, and let's see, where is he? Yes, the Dark Janemba and Golden Metal Cooler, I think, is on it as well. Yeah, all of these guys are in Corroded Body and Mind, and while the Golden Metal Cooler and Dark Janemba are not up for an EZA, the rest of them are, right? Super Saiyan 3 Rose should be up, and same with, I believe, Possessed Supreme Kai of Time should be up for an EZA as well. They could jump forward and EZA these Cooler and Dark Janemba as well, but because, I mean, we really don't know what the plan is for Heroes units moving forward, but this should be the year that Super Saiyan 4 Vegito and Rose EZA, so Baby could get some serious buffs if that comes. So if you're somebody who's interested in Heroes, these guys are probably going to show up on an EZA banner, if not the main banner itself. Since there is no more Heroes, there might just be a crossover banner altogether with them, so you might consider saving stones with them if they end up being good enough to run on Baby's team. Otherwise, it's probably a big skip. Following that, we'll enter into the December TUR, which, you know, last year this was Buhan. Nothing too crazy. He was pretty good. But of course, at this point, we should be in full anniversary savings mode. So you're not really missing much by skipping down on the December TUR. And then pretty much the year will close out with, of course, the New Year step up, which is, this is the big thing that everybody should be saving for. Now, last year they did something special where they did a Carnival and Dokkan Fest setup, right? So for 200 stones, you could go all the way up through each step, and at each step getting a different set of units, right? You had a Super EZA step, you had a category lead EZA step, you had a LR guaranteed step with Super Saiyan 4 Goku. You had another category lead setup with more recent 2023 to 2024 units, and then of course you had a guaranteed step up at the end where you could possibly pull UI along with some other 2024 units. So it was pretty good. And then of course we had the Carnival side ending with AGL Jiren, who was possible to pull at the guaranteed at the end. The Carnival was actually pretty good because you could pretty much get an LR at every step. Honestly, the Carnival side was actually pretty broken. So honestly, if you're a newer player, you missed out on a lot of characters this year. You got shafted on a lot of banners. If they run a similar setup to this, right, saving, you know, 200 stones to do a summon on either the Dokkan Fest or the Carnival is not the worst idea in the world now, especially given, you know, a lot of banners outside of GDC were pretty major skips. And if they follow last year's pattern, I could see them actually putting they could actually put the GDC units as a return on here, which would be kind of crazy if they follow last year's pattern, right? Because Tanabata was UI Goku last year, and he is here, and GDC is in the spot of what was previously Global's Anniversary and Tanabata. So it's possible they could put them as like a guaranteed, as one of the last steps, right? One of the GDC LRs. That would be kind of cool. I mean, it's a big, you know, it's a big if, not to say that that could happen, but I will say that regardless of what does happen, it's still probably going to be one of the bigger values for you as a player over summoning for, like this banner specifically for baby, no matter who's on it. You're going to get bigger value spending 200 stones here than on the baby banner. Of course, this is for newer players, right? Older players, probably baby's banner might actually be more valuable for you, but just throwing that out there. So in terms of what lies ahead, there really isn't much to summon on other than saving for anniversary or possibly New Year's or the step up, really. New Year's TURs last year was Daima, Goku, and Glorio. Could get something similarly broken this year, so you might want to consider saving for that. So in terms of what lies ahead, I kind of have to say it's probably better to save. As good as Baby is, Omega's team doesn't need him, right? He slides nicely in. He's a great piece, sort of final piece to the puzzle, but Omega's team does kind of fit just fine without him at the current moment. So unfortunately, that's 2 in the category for no, right? We've got no on the banner, and we got no on what lies ahead. So unfortunately, this is one of those few times where I do actually have to recommend skip for most players. I know that's so hard to say. This is baby we're talking about. We've waited so long for this, but that's just what it is. Unfortunately, his timing is not the best timing. If this was like the pre-GDC, unit, maybe things would have been different, but now as we are approaching the end of the year, right, these end of year TURs tend to not have a very long shelf life. I mean, as long as Festival of Battles is relevant, he will be, he'll have a decent shelf life. But outside of that, right, these end of the year TURs don't tend to last past anniversary. So I have to recommend a big skip on this one, unfortunately. And I don't like doing that. But, if Baby is your favorite character there, that is worth noting. Now, I do want to point out, shout out to Proton 10MG for posting the data download images. We do know that, of course, as the next Dokkan Fest, he will have Pity. This will be your standard 200 coin Dokkan Fest Pity. So, you can do 7 multis or 7 rounds of 150 stones, and if you don't pull them within, then you have a guarantee. By then you will have guaranteed 200 coins, and you'll be able to trade them for your copy. We will also have 14 Dokkan Special Day tickets that will go live tomorrow night when he drops. Which should be, I think I have the wiki up here, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So those tickets will go live. You can use your tickets to summon for Baby for free. Definitely recommend doing the free. If you're pay to play, low to play, obviously Global is going to have your regular tickets as well. So there is that. But I will say that, again, outside of the Dokkan Day tickets and, for you pay to play, low to play players out there, your regular tickets, this is probably a big skip. He's going to return much sooner rather than later. So I would say that there's no need to rush to grab this guy. Looking at the types of categories he's on and how, especially Battle of Fate being such a common villain category, I would say he's probably going to show up more often than he doesn't compared to other TURs. So I would just say it's probably best to skip all around here. So guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let us know, do you plan on summoning for transforming Super Baby? I know this is a skip for a lot of people, and myself included. I should probably skip. Still going to summon for content, but he's not going to be that necessary for a lot of players. So I'm curious to see where you guys stand. What will you be doing? Obviously, if Baby is one of your favorite characters, then by all means, go summon for him. Enjoy him. But if you're looking at getting the most value for your stones, it's probably best to save for New Year's or the step up. So that's it for the video, guys. If nothing else, thanks for watching, and aloha.